What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Queen Strength and Conditioning Summer Digital Series Zoom Masterclass. This is our third session. My name is Zach. I'm one of the Queen Strength and Conditioning interns. In the fall, I'll be going into my fourth year of kinesiology, and I have the opportunity to stay on this summer and help out with all kinds of different strength and conditioning tasks that are going on. And so today I'm here to talk to you guys about acceleration. So just if you're a first-time viewer of the series or need a little reminder, the goal of this weekly series is us at Queen's S&C are looking to break down and discuss different training principles, ideas, and methods to be able to provide you with the tools and knowledge you need to design your own training programs. And in addition to that, we want to be able to explain the why behind what we do. So why we program certain things for athletes, why we focus on things and the effects that those can have on the field or on the court or on the ice where they really matter. So when talking about acceleration, we kind of need to start somewhere. So providing a base of sprinting will kind of help us get there. So by definition, sprinting is a series of coupled flight and support cycles performed to help the athlete move themselves from one location to another as fast as possible. And this whole idea of sprinting can be broken down into two phases: acceleration, which is kind of what we're going to focus on here, and maximum velocity. So acceleration is the first stage of any sprint action. It's how the athlete will get started and get moving up to the speed that they want to perform whatever it is they have to do in their sport. And the goal of this is to push back and get drive from hamstrings and glutes. And this pushback generates horizontal power output used to propel, the body forward. And using these forces, the athlete will help elevate the hips above the ground to a point where speed's no longer increasing at large rates, where they're moving at their maximum velocity. Throughout this process of acceleration, the stride length is going to gradually increase until it blends into the maximum velocity sprinting that they want to get to when they have more open space and can open up. The acceleration phase usually takes, is usually the start between 0 and 20 meters. And what's important to note here is during this, at the start, the body's center of mass leans forward. And then as you start to move forward, it progressively raises, but we'll get more into that here in a little bit. So what we're going to do is look at it holistically and then put each of the individual pieces together at the end. That way we know what each kind of segment of the body should look like during acceleration. So the first thing starting at the bottom is we want our ankle to be dorsiflexed. So this means if you kind of point your toe up to the sky, that would be dorsiflexion. And what this does is it provides a stiff ankle and allows for stable foundation to increase power output. Another key point for this would be a low heel recovery. So if you see kind of here in this picture, the sprinter's heel on his foot that's flexed, so I guess that would be his left foot or the foot closest to us. His heel is kind of low, and that's kind of where he's recovering. He's not cycling his foot back up, and his heel's not coming up all the way up to waist height, as it would maybe if we were trying to go a little bit faster. And the next thing is a positive shin angle. So again, you'll see on his foot here, his shin, if you can see my cursor, there, the angle between his shin and his foot, where his ankle's flexed, is positive. So that's something to keep in mind, and that's made possible by the lower body mechanics. So what's important about acceleration is we want to be able to drive the knee forward and extend the other leg back. So by driving this knee forward, we see he's pushing his knee forward, kind of almost like a piston. Like there's a piston action where it's kind of going back and forth through this back leg extension, front leg knee drive into that. What's really important here is we maintain a neutral pelvis. So what this means that our pelvis isn't tilted forward or tilted back. And by doing this, it sets up his upper body, his torso, to be in a neutral position. That again, we'll get into a little bit on the next slide when we talk about the upper body, but it's just important to keep that pelvis in a neutral position. And with each step in this point in acceleration, the ground contact time is decreasing. So at the start, we kind of need it to be a little bit longer so we can get that horizontal push, But as we start to build up speed, we want our ground contact time to be as little as possible. So moving into our upper body. So the upper body kind of begins in a straight line with the back leg. So if you see here on this little line of sprinter guys, the one guy, the second guy, has his back leg extended and his torso straight like this. He's got the forward lean that we talked about. And it's a straight line from, his neck, his head, all the way down to his back foot. And that's where the neutral pelvis really comes into play, as it sets us up to keep that spine straight. So as our stride leg length increases, our upper body is going to start to rise our hips. So we see that through each of these little phases, how he's slowly his torso begins to rise until he's in an upright posture at the end. So the way to kind of think about this, we like to talk about, he's rising through his hips almost like a plane taking off a runway. It kind of slowly begins to increase that angle as it moves forward until it gets to the height that it wants to. Again, our head is relaxed and in a neutral position in line with the spine created by our neutral pelvis. And like I said, by the end of the acceleration phase, our torso should be upright, as seen, the guy at the very end, as we start to move into the maximum velocity. The next part that's huge here is the arm movement. So we like to think when we're running is our arms kind of drive our legs. So if we're going to if we want to be able to move explosively through our legs, we need to be able to move explosively through our arms with a flexed elbow. Another thing to keep in mind here is our shoulders should stay relaxed. We don't want to tense up, shrug our shoulders, anything like that. We want to be as relaxed as possible, but still being forceful with our movements. One thing to keep in mind is our arms should move from front to back. We don't want them moving side to side. You want them to move kind of in line with our legs. And we want to drive our hand down and back, almost like you're pulling a rope. So if you see in that picture there, if you were to grip a rope by that position and you want to pull it, you'll have to pull your arm back and down. So that's kind of something to keep in mind. And I talk about it a little bit more on the next slide, but by driving our arms back, we elicit extension of the leg, which promotes greater force output. So this is a study by, I'm not even going to try to pronounce these names because I will mess them up, but it just basically finds that horizontal acceleration of the arm swing can assist in increasing stride length, which is what we want. We want our stride length to be, if our stride length is bigger than greater, then we're going to move faster. And another thing they found is the vertical component of the arm swing. So it is that down and back method that I just kind of talked about with pulling the rope. It can indirectly affect forward velocity by promoting back leg extension. And the greater that we have it's extended, the more force we can produce as it pushes back and creating forceful movement forward. So now looking at kind of mechanics combined, we have this kind of hashtag shape. So we'll see the back leg is in a straight line with the torso or neutral pelvis. So what this does is it creates a line all the way through. And then the front leg, the positive shin angle that we also talked about, is going to be parallel with that. So when we're driving that knee forward, we want to make sure that stays parallel with our back leg. Our thigh from the forward knee is parallel with the arm swing as well. So you'll kind of see that, and that's kind of what makes up the hashtag shape. So that's just what it all kind of looks like together. So why is this important? Oftentimes in sports situations, athletes move in short distances quickly and in small areas. So being able to accelerate effectively can be the difference between breaking from defenders or catching up to opponents in a variety of sporting contexts, whether it be breaking past the line of scrimmage, or if you get the ball out of a scrum and you have some open space. Being able to accelerate quickly and hit that open space fast can be the difference between scoring or being caught, and can ultimately result in the result of the game. So one way that we like to look to improve speed and improve this acceleration is through a variety of different drills. So a transfer drill is where we work on skills that can transfer to the sprint. So I'll give some examples of some of these in a second, but I'll just kind of explain what each of them are. A technique drill helps us get into the right positions that we want so that we can focus on, joint angles or switches or however we can best get into that position. And sprint variations allow us to put all these things together in real time at the speed that we want to move at. And then competition drills are just to get, competitive juices flowing and make things a little bit more exciting. So starting off with some transfer drills, some big ones that we like to do are single leg hurdles, broad jumps, single leg broad jumps, horizontal power skips, and like a med ball first step to throw to a wall. And these are huge because these, help us with that horizontal power output, allow us to apply forces horizontally, which transfer directly into the acceleration phase. Couple technique drills. So the wall drills is a big one. So here, if you see in the top picture there, he's leaning up against the wall. He has that posture that we want with the forward lean all the way to the back leg. So we can get into this posture, and here we can hold and keep our legs in joints in the angles that we want. We can switch, march, and this kind of just helps us, get into position so we can focus on what these positions feel like. Another way to do that is by adding bands. So resistance coming in the back way, like a banded march or a banded bound, allow us to experience that forward lean that we want to feel when we're accelerating. And then a couple other ones are just an A march. It helps get our joints, our legs into the positions that we want them to get in with, the knee flexion and dorsiflexion. And then A skips with a low heel recovery is another option where, we're focusing on that low heel recovery while still maintaining those postures and leg positions that we want. Moving into some of the sprint variations. So these are just different ways that, we can set up and find different ways to get into the positions that we want. So for example, the top of a push-up start sprint. So if we're just in a push-up on our hands and our feet, like you would be in the top of a push-up, you can focus on driving that knee forward and starting your sprint off that way. In terms of resisted and hill sprints, also allow us to practice generating that force output and get us moving at a speed we want to. Falling start sprints help us with our forward lean. Half kneeling start sprints, again, allow us to get that knee drive. Stomach start sprints, exactly the same thing, where we can, start to move forward and get the knee drive and back leg extension that we want. A jump back start sprint is where we can jump back and, get into that position where we have, one leg out in front of us, and we can drive our knee and extend our back leg. And a med ball throw to sprint can help us to, create that horizontal power output and start moving at the speed we want. So some competition drills. Some of the good ways to do this is with a partner. So either if you're standing and you're chasing your partner, trying to catch them and see who's faster, who can accelerate quicker. You can start this in a seated position on your stomach, or it can be reactive. So if one partner wants to start, the other can quickly follow and can go off the first partner's go. And then it could also just be as simple as, timing yourself. How fast are you, running 10, 20 meters, and see how well you can do and if everything you're doing is helping you to improve. So just in summary, acceleration is the first stage of sprinting, and this horizontal power output is able to transition us into maximum velocity sprint, where we're moving as fast as we can. And we're pushing back with an extended leg to get drive from glute and hamstring to propel us forward. And this obviously allows the athlete to move fast quickly, which is huge in all kinds of sports settings. So join us next week. We'll be discussing jump training and plyometric progressions and how to apply it to your workouts at home and in the gym. That's all I've got for you guys today. Thanks for watching. If there's any questions, I've got the chat open here. I can take a look to see if there's any questions. You have a second here. All right, well, it doesn't look like we have any questions. Thanks for tuning in. And we'll see you guys next time.